control and not let it be in control, then I can experience a greater freedom. And that's, there we go. Now we're live on YouTube, Colin. And can you hear me again? And yay, all right. So we're here with Mandi and all of our fine family and friends here for another Is-ness is Your Only Business. And just I could take a moment.
And we're open for business.
We're open for business. That's right. Yep, that's it.
You just disappeared me from your screen.
I see you. Oh,
I see you.
I see you.
All I see is Zoom Workplace. The whole picture's disappeared. I'm going to ring out and ring in again and see what happens. Oh,
Okay.
there you are.
Yeah, because we can see you for sure.
No, now I can. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So everybody's wearing their lovely, I'm actually wearing red underneath of this. So red and orange are two of my favorite
look at us. Yes, all red and orange, red, real autumn colors, aren't we?
That's it. And so we're getting ready this week for Thanksgiving, which is an American holiday, obviously, and started by my ancestors, believe it or not, who came over here from, they were in Holland, I guess. They came over here, but they're originally from Britain, from England. And they came over here on a ship called the Mayflower and had a lot of trials and tribulations here in this new world, which was really rough compared to where they'd come from. But, they had a time when they decided that they were going to be thankful for the harvest that they had and for the food that they had and the friends that they had because they developed relationships with the native people here. And so they had a party, a feast, and they called it Thanksgiving. And we celebrated here in America every year at the end of November, the last Thursday, I believe, of November. And here now it's all about food and turkeys and pumpkin pies and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, it's a time of giving thanks. And, that's what, I like to remember is that, they were thankful that they survived as long as they did. And I think my ancient great grandmother, 10 times past, was, the woman who, basically ran the feast or set the feast up. But in fact, she was probably one of the only women that actually survived that first that first year of them being here. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about all of that business because it wasn't it is what it is, and we are where we are. But I think we don't take the time really to look back on those who came before and who did do tremendous amount of work to build what we consider the greatest country in the world according to most Americans. Few Americans don't think that at all, but but, but that's that's our idea of what's good and what's bad. So I'd just like to start with a little prayer of thanksgiving and just take a deep breath and do this breathing that I'm so practicing and making sure that I keep doing every day. And thank you, Father. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you've given us. Mother Earth, Mother God, all of the goodness, all of the love, all of the joy that comes at this season of the year. We thank you for this. Father God, all of the love, all of the joy, all of the joining that comes together as a family. We thank you for this. We thank you for this beautiful family here on Zoom, this beautiful family here on Gather, this global family who are all here only to be truly helpful and only to represent you and you who sent us. And we don't have to worry about what we're going to say or what we're going to do, because you who sent us, you will direct us. And we are content to be wherever you wish, being here in the now, in this holy instant, because you are here with us. And we will be healed as we let you teach us to heal. And in that healing moment, I am so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Lynn. Lovely, lovely.
And there's Sweet Vishnu. Hi, sweetheart. He's Canadian. I think John's Canadian. So they already had their Thanksgiving. So they were thankful before we were, back in October, I believe. But I think it's wonderful that that a nation would have a holiday that is, based on gratitude. And it is, we all come together for expressing that gratitude and expressing the gratitude for the bounty that is that's here before us. And right here in this room, the bounty that's here with us now, the love that's here with us now. Wow. You can't help but be grateful knowing that this is what we're here for. And so I picked a poem this morning for our sharing with Mandi, and it was all about blessing. And it's called I Bless Myself. I bless myself. Would someone like to read the poem for us? I would love to hear anyone.
I'll have a go if
Thank
nobody.
you.
I bless myself. I bless myself in my joy and in my well-being, in my strength and peace and Christly seeing, in my love, abundance and generosity. And if there's been any perceived atrocity, there's forgiveness felt with immediate velocity. I bless myself in radiantly shining as thee, whether thinking of or meeting everyone I see. I bless myself in serenity, ease and stability. I bless myself in using my God-given abilities for the good of thee and all and me, which is simply I loving I eternally. Oh, thank you for choosing that, Lynn, and for letting me read that one, because because it's an important one, really, because if we can't bless ourselves, truly it's hard to bless other people, or we think we can, but things can come up, funny little stabbing little remarks or little scraps of meanness, as it says in the course, little scrap of meanness or something. And you think, now, where did that come from? Well, that always comes because, we've not blessed ourselves enough. It's nothing to do with the outside. It's something to do with that thing that you've started talking about today. I'm so glad you did, about Thanksgiving and gratitude, because I was listening to a little podcast. It's called The Daily Lift, and I've listened to it for years, all the years I was a Christian Scientist, and it's usually a little 3-minute podcast by somebody, and it was about gratitude today. And it was also about being grateful for all the things that you've ever had. And you know, it struck me that I'm always grateful all the time. I've even got a little gratitude for now and for this moment now and the things that have and stuff. But being grateful, you know, for every single thing that I've ever had as a practice going way back from when I was born, it just struck me that, yeah, that would be a lovely thing to do, to be really grateful about everything that's happened in your own past. You know, I mean, you also made a point about being thankful for the ancestors and everything. And that's great. And I think we should definitely, well, not should, I think it's a lovely thing to embrace that. But I realize that although I've been grateful with sudden bursts, like I'll remember something that somebody did, or a friend or a member of the family years ago. And of course, right then and there, you know, I'm grateful for it. But to actually go in right back and being grateful, there's just so much to be grateful for when you just look in your own past. And when I started to do that, I just found it was such a deep practice, because then all the things that you deemed as unpleasant or difficult come up when you're doing that practice, and it just helps you to see, you know, about being grateful for them. I mean, we all do this all the time. We know that there's no outside of us because everything is perceived through here. But and you know, so we all, everybody on this call and watching this call will already be familiar with just their own experience of being grateful for everything, even the pleasant or the unpleasant or anything like that. But somehow it goes much deeper when you dig back a bit in your own past and just decide to be grateful about, you know, just starting. Even it might take you days and weeks, because obviously we've lived a long time, but to just slowly have gratitude for everything that happened. Anyway, I've just found that really lovely. I'm so glad that you started by talking about gratitude and, you know, Thanksgiving and everything. So thank you, Lynn. Thank you for picking that poem. Yeah.
Thank you, Mandy. Yes, you know, and that's it. You know, when you know, we started doing, you know, what is your birthday lesson, and you know, looking at the day you were born and what lesson in the Course of Miracles it correlated to, and my lesson, my birthday lesson is number 40. I am blessed as a son of God, and it talks all about all the blessings that I have, and you know, when I first started looking at that, I was like, oh my gosh. In fact, I had someone who I was sharing the lessons, doing the lessons every day with, and they didn't know it was my birthday. And they picked up that lesson and they went on and on and on about the blessings. And I was just sitting here going, oh my God. I was like overwhelmed by all of the blessings that you know, I have received and do receive on a regular basis. And you're right, Mandy, we can look in the past, in any situation in the past that, you know, upset me or worried me or made me afraid or, you know, gave me feelings of um, unworthiness or insecurity or any of those things. Those were all part of my blessing because they gave me a chance to look at um, who I thought I was and who I belonged to,
Mm,
and you know, coming to recognize that I belong to God and my worthiness is established by God. I'm blessed,
mm,
totally blessed as a holy son of God. And really, I had started actually, I believe I started doing the oneness blessing before I recognized that I'm blessed as a son of God was my birthday lesson. And, you know, just wanting to bless everything and everyone around me. And, you know, that is a wonderful practice. And you know, it's really interesting. Not so many people know about it. I guess it's huge worldwide, but um, doing the Diksha, the oneness blessing, really puts you in a state of total gratitude
Mm.
because you're blessing everything and everyone you see. So what a gift that is.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Mandy. Rafi, please, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, a couple of things. About if I'm blessing myself, I'm blessing everyone because they are me. If I'm loving myself, I'm loving everyone because they are me. Larry Crane, one of my instructors, used to say, "Love yourself and let the world have it your way. The world have it your way is the way. There's only the one way." And the constant blessing, the constant gratitude. I have a list of things I run through every morning, a gratitude, and I wrote them down because you know how your ego mind's going to make you want to forget those things. And I read so I can when I'm doing my gratitude, it's written right there in front of me, and then whatever comes up, I'm grateful for that. Like this morning, a tremendous fear of rejection came popping out of my subconscious. Hello, you're afraid you're going to be disapproved of, you're going to be rejected. So I brought up a lot of wanting approval that I could let go of. I was very grateful for that. All of that negative fear-based feelings. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome them up and just kept letting go of wanting approval and the fear of rejection and more and more and more. And so again, no matter what we're coming out of, or what's coming out of us, if it's blessing, if it's love, it is for everyone and everything because we are everyone and everything. And that's the lesson for me anyway. That's the lesson that this dream world, that this illusion is teaching us. It ain't real, it ain't true, you ain't you, I ain't me, we are one. And as long as I keep those lessons, keep those lessons in perspective, then there's even more to be grateful for. Thank you.
That's lovely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm.
Gratitude brings more gratitude. And when you start making a list, you start seeing, wow, you know, I could go on all day with all the things I'm grateful for. So, it's such a grateful, a great practice. And loving and blessing ourselves, being grateful for the mind that is willing to bless, willing to see, willing to love. What a beautiful thing. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Or if you want me to put the poem back up, I'd be happy to do that. Um, I don't know if everyone was here when we read it the first time, but
I'd like to see the poem up again, if you don't mind.
I thought maybe so. So, hey, I bless myself in my joy and in my well-being. Isn't that, what we're grateful for? My joy and my well-being, my strength and peace, my Christly seeing. I can tell you what, that is the thing I'm most grateful for, actually, is my Christ mind, my Christly seeing, my ability to move beyond the fearful thinking and move actually into a mind that sees all as peace and love and gifts. These are all gifts to me. Nothing that happens to me is anything other than just a gift of joy. So, in my love, abundance, and generosity, if there's been any perceived atrocity, there's forgiveness felt with immediate velocity. I love that word immediate because it doesn't say eventual, it doesn't say maybe tomorrow. I always love watching a television show we used to have here called Monk, and it was about a guy who had obsessive compulsive tendencies. He was a detective. And of course, and he did a lot of things that seemed kind of out of, kind of crazy. But he would always say, after he like rearranged something or fixed something or did something, "You'll thank me later." You'll thank me later. I find myself saying that a lot. You'll thank me later, but I'm thanking me now. Thanking me now for thinking of that. Thanking me now immediately. There's there's not a future time when that blessing is going to be found. It's going to be right now. So anybody else have anything? You can just speak up. You don't need to put your hand up if you have something you'd like to share.
Oops, I was speaking then, sorry. Yeah, I think when it says, I bless myself in radiantly shining as thee, whether thinking of or meeting anyone I see, because I think that's where we sort of, well, I'll never say it, I always need to be alert, because it's the fact that, it's the truth that our thoughts are never neutral. So that, if a thought arises that's slightly negative, and I mean, let's face it, happens to everybody. It's just the nature of the ego, just always trying to run the show. It comes up with some thought about somebody else or something, or some little criticism, and then it's just seeing. I think it's really helpful to see that no thoughts are ever neutral, because if we know that, we're not going to just push that thought away because we don't like it. We are going to just, for me, I just release on it. I totally see through it what the ego's trying to do there. And even this morning, it I had caught myself thinking a really intensely negative thought about myself, and then it took me, and then a few minutes later, it shouldn't have even taken a few minutes, but it did take a few minutes, but it was just a few minutes. I just saw it, and the minute that you see it, then it's back to neutral again. It's just not neutral when we give it any importance, take it on board, or give it even more than a moment's thinking about it. It's irrelevant, really, these thoughts that come up, but it's only, but we make them very relevant when we take them on board. So I think so when we're thinking of somebody, whether we thinking of them or actually meeting them, yeah, that's what I mean really, that these thoughts aren't neutral. And also, when it's a very loving thought about somebody, that's not neutral either, and that has a power too. So when we're really blessing and being grateful, then the ego can't get a foot in there, really. It just can't get in there. And so that's when you can bless yourself in your serenity, ease, and stability, because we're stable when we know that, when we're really resting in the gratitude. But that thing about the thoughts not being neutral, that's just a really important thing, isn't it? Because otherwise we're taking them on board, and we're giving them some importance that they don't have. So it's important to release on those, I think.
If I may just chime in.
Chime away.
Please do.
Chime away.
With blessings. Sometimes my mind will go to somebody I know who is either, well, let's say, suffering with a health issue. And instead of seeing them as a person suffering with a health issue, I see them as the divine love, the expansive, radiant divine love that they really are. not that person. And all of a sudden, there is no such thing as a health issue or some other social or relationship issue or whatever else they might be seeming to be going through. Because if I see it, I'm just giving into the dream and saying, yeah, that's true, that's true, that's true. It's not true. It's a dream. It's here to teach us. And they are not those people. They are that radiant light. They are that radiant beingness. They are that radiant love. And so I just see them as they really are. And all of that other stuff dissolves. Not too long after, I may get a phone call from them or something. And there's an indication of that even subtle transformation. Sometimes it's a subtle transformation, but there is something. And I've experienced it several times. And so then I know that that's the reality. And what I'm looking at, this computer, these pictures and stuff, this room that I'm sitting in, is just a mental projection. Okay. Well, let the mental projection do what it does. Thank you very much. I appreciate the lessons that you have to teach me. I know you aren't real. I know you're not what I am. It's my picture and I love it. And so thank you.
Oh, that's great. Could Lynn, could you just remove the screen share for a minute? Is that okay? Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that always does something, Rafi. I mean, that's one of the biggest blessings of all that we have as well in this truth, that there isn't somebody out there that's suffering, because that could only be in our head, couldn't it? You know, and Joel always said the same thing, you know, that when you even drop the person which is just what you said, really, you don't see that person anymore. You drop that person completely from your mind. So if you're doing a healing for somebody mentally, then you might think of them for the briefest of seconds, and then you drop them completely and just bask in that light, which you were just talking about, really. I'm just echoing the same thing. But then that healing is done, no matter what the symptoms still appear like. That's not anything to do with us, because we've done the healing. As soon as we see them as that light, the same light that we are, that healing has occurred. And so it's not surprising. It doesn't matter it's not important for us to know in which way it's occurred, but it's occurred, you know. And yeah, it's the only way to do healing, because if you're seeing them as a person outside of yourself that's got a condition, you're doubling up on a complete false image, aren't you, really? You know. So I mean, that's one of the biggest ways of blessing, is to behold that light, just to behold that light. And that's why I always sort of say to people that another way of doing it is, I always say, look above people's heads with a soft gaze, because there is an actual light to see. I mean, even early, right at the beginning of the Course in Miracles, when you're learning the lessons, it says that when you start to do some of these early lessons about seeing through the images of things and how their unreality, you actually start to see a light round. You start to see a bit of light round. And that light is the light of exactly what you've just been saying there. It's the light of their being, and that's all we're concerned with. Because if we know the light of our own being, we've already got it. We've got their light. That is the healing, isn't it? Just there's not my light and your light. There's just the light, isn't there? There's just that expanse, endless expanse of divine love and intelligence. Mm-hmm.
That's so beautiful, Mandy. And yes, I mean, that's if I just made it a habit, anytime that I saw something or someone that I thought, it was disturbing my peace, or upsetting me, or bringing me into fear, if I could just look at them and recognize that, yeah, there is that light. And when I first read those lessons in the Course about seeing a light around people, I was physically looking for an actual light. and physically looking for, something, light things, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people get confused, because maybe they have a vision, a problem with their eyes, like a retinal detachment, and they see that little flash of light, which I've had, many times, and pretty well know, that is not what he's talking about. He's talking about really seeing the Christ, the vision of the Christ in that person, and to practice that, and to practice the blessing, every day. And there are people that, we may look at in the world and think, this is a really an awful person, and they're going to do terrible things. And I know there's a lot of fear in the world, because we're looking at persons or personalities and imagining a future where, they're going to be in charge of a lot of stuff. They're going to cause a lot of problems in the world. And, these are all that's not looking to the light. That's looking to the darkness. That's looking to a fearful place where that person doesn't exist, and neither do I. So to see them in the light of who they are and where they are, and to remember that, the only, I'm responsible for the world that I see. And, that doesn't mean that, I'm the one who, made everybody vote a certain way or not vote a certain way or whatever. It's the world I see that I'm responsible for. And if I look upon this individual or these people that I've blamed, and instead of looking at them, I bless them, and I open my heart to them and my mind to seeing them as the Christ, in the Christ mind. And people will say, well, they don't deserve that. Well, no ego deserves. There's no deserving. It's all a matter of my seeing. So if I'm choosing to see them as the Christ in the light, that's what they deserve. That's the only thing that anybody deserves, is to be seen as the Christ in the light. Full appreciation. It's the only thing that we can give to our brothers that is really meaningful. And until I can see it that way, then I will be in fear. But if I can see it in a way where I'm just seeing the blessing, and not looking at the behaviors, not looking at the words that are being said, not looking at future thought about what's going to happen, but just looking right now at these beings that are here to bless me, and being grateful for them being here to bless me. Being grateful, I'm grateful for these people, because if they hadn't have, showed up in my dream, I would not be looking at these dark thoughts. I'd just be thinking, no, everything is fine, and not looking at my own decision to judge, and my desire to judge. And of course that's not mine. That's how the ego operates. So I'm just wanting to turn it around. Do the Byron Katie, turn it around.
Turn ye and live, I turn ye and live. I mean, this is all said so beautifully in this tiny little piece from the Daily Word from a very long time ago, which sums up everything the Course in Miracles has ever said as well. I no longer try to change outer things. They are simply a reflection. Instead, I change my inner perception, and then the outer reveals the beauty so long obscured by my own attitude. I concentrate solely on my inner vision, and thus find my outer view transformed. And then I find myself tuned to the grandeur of life and in unison with the perfect order of the universe. And I love that. It's always in my morning prayers, because it just sort of says it all really concisely. I love that, tuned in to the grandeur of the universe. And And then we don't see any of this as them over there possibly doing something over here. You know, all that separation is just gone. We can only deal solely with ourselves, can't we? You know, we can that's it, really.
That's it. It's my own mind. It's always my own thinking. Carrie, love
Hi,
to see you.
Carrie.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Good.
I was just going to say, two things I really appreciate today is Rafi brought up something about having a moment of fear of self-rejection, of rejection, and Mandi, you brought up something about having a moment of a harsh thought about yourself. And you know, so often for myself, I feel like, oh my God, I'm still trapped in thought. I'm still trapped in thought. And I'm like thinking this has a meaning, like I'm so far away from awareness, I'm so far away. So when I hear from other people that this can pop up and it doesn't have to like mean anything bad and you don't have to judge yourself for it, you can just like catch yourself. And maybe it's always going to come up. And on one hand, it could seem maybe a little depressing, but in another way, it's kind of a relief that you don't have to have for a goal for yourself, like I will never be trapped in thought. So I appreciated that today.
Oh, you know, Carrie, that's I'm really glad because you sort of made that really concise. I mean, this is it. It's that Rafi's always saying when stuff comes up for him, and Lynn is, and I try to do as well, you know, because it's about being very honest here, because we'll all have stuff coming like that. You see, this is what when we have a goal like I want to be enlightened. When I'm enlightened, I won't have any more bad thoughts at all. I mean, even that's a separation, the idea of being enlightened or not enlightened, because liberation is it can only be in this moment, and when we have little epiphanies and things like that. But we're always going to have to be on alert, you know, so that like I was saying this morning, that the minute that you see that thought is just ego, and it's the ego's doing everything it can, and it's usually doing it when you've had a moment of lightness, like, you know, I find it, as I'm sure everybody does here, and you too, an ongoing thing where you have little realizations and some big realizations that have nothing to do with the mind. It's just a moment of absolute expanse or something, whatever it is. But then slam, you know, and it might be the next day. So it might not happen straight after you've had this lovely illuminating thought. It happens far enough away for you to not join it up and think, oh, the ego's having a go because I made some footsteps forward yesterday. You know, there might be a delay, but somehow I find that, you know, maybe the next day, crash, without me realizing it, sort of comes from the side, and there'll just be a flurry of negative thoughts. And I'm not doing enough, I'm not contributing enough, I'm just you know, whatever it is, I'm not being of service enough, I'm a defective human being. I mean, you know, the whole lot. And it doesn't matter. The point is, it's the moment that you think, oh, it's ego just having a go, it falls away immediately. And that's why we don't have to worry about it. I mean, for me, that is an instant release, just to see through what's doing it. And all those thoughts. I mean, God, you know, I used to really, I don't know if everybody else remembers this, but certainly a time in my life when I didn't have the awareness of it being the ego, when I bore every negative thought and was just crushed under the weight of all this negativity and believing in it. And all that, you know, I can say is that those things are far less, because I see through them much more quickly. But you don't have to hamper the spiritual process by thinking, well, how far have I come? Am I awakened yet? Or, do you know what I mean? It's liberating to just realize that you, even if it's just from time to time, see through these thoughts. Because even well, just seeing through them, the minute you see through them, this is not true, this is the ego, there's just this immediate expanse and release and joy. So yeah, Carrie, everybody's having it. You're not alone. It's just that, and it doesn't matter if it takes you till the next day to see it. I think that's what you get better at, seeing it faster and faster until you see it instantly, So yeah, do you know what I mean?
Thank you so much, Mandy. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you, Carrie.
Oh, thank you, Mandy, for that. And thank you, Carrie. What a beautiful, beautiful reflection. And just it's so very helpful. John Sunday, hi, sweetheart.
Hey everybody, hi everybody. Wow, a lot going on today. A lot going on today, and especially around what was just said there, Mandy. Thank you. I'm trying to receive that, as best as I can, let it land, and I'm doing the best I can. But I want you to know that I really love the lesson today. I bless myself. But what am I blessing myself for? One of the things is that I'm blessing myself for my good luck to find myself swimming in a torrent of gratitude for being in this group today, and with the the opportunity to take another look, at what the heck's going on, and being reminded again of the divine love and the intelligence that I have an opportunity of extending. What we said at the beginning about healing. Then I am healed. I'm healed as I teach others to heal. So just being in this environment is a big deal for me. And it kind of speaks to the poem where it says forgiveness, and perceived atrocity, there's forgiveness felt with immediate velocity. And I like that. I bless myself. And I like that part so much. I like what I love about it is the forgiveness part, because the forgiveness part is I'm forgiving myself for believing the stories that I've created. That's just it. Just for believing those stories, for wanting to hang on to them and wanting to express them and allowing them to come up the way that I choose to interpret them. Oh, I take a deep breath on that. Just what you're saying about the ego showing me, but how can I use that to turn that around and show even that is a love awakening for me? And the big awakening for me is comes up really in terms of facing what some of those stories are, and they are stories about non-safety. Like that's my ego story. Not being willing to accept the divine gift of complete and utter innocence, and wanting to gravitate to some of these old hardwired patterns. So it's really like being like the guy says, like swimming in like a fish, like a shoal of fish. There's safety in numbers, and just to be in the numbers here, the numbers game, to be in a group and where an environment where there's numbers on my side, working towards keeping me on track. I just want to say how super grateful I am for that. I got plenty to say, but basically that's it. I just have the opportunity to express my gratitude, and like you said before, like the first lesson I read today was on divine giving, and that's all there is, my willingness to accept the divine giving, because that's all that's being offered. And one way that I can show acceptance of the divine giving is by showing my gratitude to all of creation, but especially to the power that brought the human race into existence, the incredible power that's just to stand in awe of, that nobody knows a damn thing about, least of all me. But you know, and when I see myself rising up about stories of non-safety and how that's you know, oh my goodness. It's just shocking. But you know, if you go back to the is-ness, that's my business. And anyway, I could gabble on all day long, but I love it. I love me, and I bless me, and I love you, and I bless you. Thank you.
Oh, that's so lovely, John. Thank you. You know, I love a torrent of gratitude. I love that. And I feel the same way for being in this group, because in this group, even though there's people that I can't see on the video at the moment, like Dov and Rafi and Joni and Regis and whoever else is on the call, I don't know because I can't see, but I just am aware of everybody's presence, and I just feel so grateful because it's like the camel and the eye of the needle. When we talk about truth, and we're trying our best in every moment to live this truth of seeing through this illusion, not listening to this ego, seeing through this ego, most people in the world aren't doing that. And therefore, you know, to be with people that are like-minded, who are putting their attention into this because they see how important it is, it's so precious. Because you know, I mean, when I say most people in the world aren't doing this, I certainly don't mean that from an ego point of view. You know that I mean that for the most part, that is, you know, we also at some point in various existences weren't doing it, or in this existence weren't doing it, but now we are doing it. We're trying to, all of us, you know, see through this illusion, particularly of fearful thoughts or self-condemning thoughts all the time, because we see how valuable it is. Because like Rafi was saying earlier, that when you do it for yourself, you are doing it for all. How could you not be? And then when you start to see yourself as cute, because you're so innocent, because you are innocent, then you just must see it. You know, it just happens automatically that you see it for other people. There's just this mass cuteness, this mass innocence. And yeah, it's a joyful work. And sometimes it doesn't feel joyful. Sometimes it feels very hard and difficult, but that's the ego again telling us that it's hard and difficult, because it isn't really. Because really, most of the time, if it feels hard and difficult at that moment, we should just relax, be kind to ourselves, you know, just be open to ourselves, and just allow everything to be fine exactly the way it is. But it's blessed work, this. It's simple, but it's not easy. But yeah, and I'm grateful for that as well.
Thank you for that, Mandy. And yes, you just honestly, you know, thinking about, yes, there were times when I wasn't thinking about these things. There were times when I was, you know, looking at the world like it's dangerous. And like many times during the day, I look at things and think, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? How's this going to work? You know, thinking somehow or the other that I need to have some kind of control over my circumstance or the situation. You know, all these things, you know, we, and, you know, you know, have to really point this out. We are so blessed that we have this course, that we have these methods, that we have these gifts that have been given to us. And I know I can recall just, you know, many times being in just abject terror because, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, you know, I suspected, you know, people of being and doing things that, you know, I would not have wanted them to be or do. You know, all of these things, you know, at some point in my life, you know, I was like 99% of the people in the world. just in deep, deep fear. I know how that is. I remember it well. And I do experience it myself, regularly, when I forget, who's walking with me. So, we have the blessing of having these teachings, this methodology, the work, the Byron Katie work, the Sedona method, the nonviolent communication work, all these different things. We have the blessing of having these things, and that for me is, I just feel so lucky, so very, very, very lucky. And when I look at everyone else who's living in this deep seated fear, uh, I can't condemn them because they are in terror. And if I know better, then all I can do is bless them, love them, and bless them, and know for them that everything is okay and there's nothing to fear here. And any one of us could come to that conclusion in a moment and release, let go of all the desire that we have to control the world and control who does what and when and how, and just let it be and love our brother. And that's the greatest gift that we can give to them.
Absolutely. I was just looking at Joni. No, I was just going to go on, Joni. I'm so glad you.
Lynn, it just really came to me. It's the greatest gift we can give ourselves, because I think that and it's only taken a couple of weeks, but I really see the benefit of the politics or the holidays or the family members, all these experiences. It's a chance to live in this blessing present moment and acceptance, and knowing that my only, role is to be that presence. And I'm grateful for that, because without it, I'd probably be a little bit more selfish. Like I used to be. But it's more about just basking in this, what the Course teaches. We are all one. There is no others. This is all happening, for our highest good. And if we walk through or row the boat gently down the stream, and we bump into a rock, we get turned over by a turbulent storm, we can say whoopee, or we can be upset. It's always a choice. I think some of the biggest impact recently, I mean, there's been so many obviously, but when I went in that MRI and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in the present moment, I'm blessing everybody. Oh, and it just so happens that I got the positive result. And then I took it to the Holy Spirit, and I've said this because it still shocks me, is I get in quiet, well, you think you were going to cheat death? And then boom, I get another, thing at the next doctor's appointment. And I just realized I'm just on a ride. It's a roller coaster or a river ride. I'm in this boat called a meat suit, and I might as well choose to be blessed by it. And whatever happens, it's okay. And just be wide-eyed in gratitude and appreciation. So, but it is, like you said, Mandi, it is easier because it is simple. It's not easier, but it's easier when you have the group here, or Miracles Live or whatever, I mean, there's so many of us that I'm so grateful. And I have the courage to step out. I'm not of the world, but I'm in the world. And I walk out, and I walk like someone who's beaming Christ's light and only sees other light, and it doesn't, and when people go, oh, you don't do that all the time, of course not, but I can get back there much quicker for the same reasons we said, so
It's like, as you're saying, you know, in all these groups, yes, I all these groups are all along these same lines, you know, these Course in Miracles groups and everything. I mean, what I love about Course in Miracles groups is that you're all open, we are all open to other things as well, that embrace and speak the same truth as Course in Miracles, which is really lovely. But we are each other's mighty companions. And I think that's where I'm so grateful for Zoom, because I had a thing about Zoom for a while, because I better make it quicker because it's nearly 4 o'clock. But it was just that because of COVID, everybody had to be on Zoom. You didn't have any choice. So after it, I just didn't want to be in Zoom at all. Like, I just went off Zooms because, but then of course, that's all gone. And in terms of, you know, now I see that, like, oh, thank God for Zoom. This is my greatest blessing, because I wouldn't know all of you if it wasn't for this. And I'm so gifted, and this is how we all connect. Because the other thing is that you in your own town and in your own place, you can't necessarily meet on a face-to-face you know, situation. You can't meet such mighty companions on this particular path. So Zoom kind of brings everybody, and YouTube brings together people who really are interested in this, you know, and beating the same drum. And we find our tribe in a worldwide way, don't we? So, and then can beam it out. So yeah, I'm so grateful for this. And Lynn, you are the corner pin of this Monday group. So I'm so glad you started it, because I love everybody here so much. You just can't wait for Mondays. And I love seeing Dov and Happy. Hi, Dov and Happy. It's lovely. And Otzi. Wow.
That's sweet Auntie's here, yay. John, did you want to say something real quick? We're at our time, but I'd love to hear what you had to say.
I want to say thanks again to everybody, because for me this is like in my language, it's an opportunity that this Monday morning to start all over again with a beginner's mind. Like, I can, you know, and just be open that I have no idea what's going on, but I'm going to be dealing with my so-called losses and traumas, all with just seeing that with an eye of gratitude that it's all on my behalf. And that's it. That's all I want to say. And bless myself and bless my companions on this mighty road. And I want to say that, hear myself saying that in terms of anchoring it in for myself. So thanks, Mandi, and thanks, Lynn, and everybody showed up.
Thanks, you guys. I love you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the YouTube.